So I'm gonna, I think this one needs stopping and starting as well. Oh, let's just start streaming. Yes. Strange, it's only showing me. Right, sorry about this. I just need to.
Right, no worries.
Okay. Right, okay, so got it now. Right, stop. Let's just start. Yeah. Right, now recording and then uh record. Right. Do you want to do the opening remarks for the second segment,
Yes,
please, Frank?
indeed. Welcome along to segment two of the Football Referee, our weekly podcast about all things football. I'm Trevor Gear, and he calls me Bruv.
And I am Emmy Hickins, and he calls me Cuz. Welcome to the second segment of the football referee. Yeah, so Courtois is I think it's called Thibaut Courtois, the Belgian goalkeeper. Do you remember him?
Courtois, yeah. Used to play for
Courtois.
Chelsea, I think, didn't he,
Right
originally?
now, yeah, now he plays for Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Now Courtois. Um, I had a great respect for him. Um, Partly because he played for Real Madrid and also that he was a really good goalkeeper. Now he spilled a ball. Yeah, him and the substitute goalkeeper, who happens to be Manchester United's first choice goalkeeper,
Yeah.
both made the same error against, I can't remember who they played now. Was it, did they
Was
play
it
Argentina?
Spain? Was it Spain, wasn't it?
I think they played Spain. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And they gave away that victory. Now, what are we thinking about this guy now? Because it says he's agreed a new Real Madrid deal 1 year ago. He already signed last September until 2027. They say the agreement remains valid for 1 more year. Now, if you'd watched that match and you're Real Madrid's new coach, what would you be thinking about this goalkeeper now?
I would think that one bad mistake doesn't define an otherwise pretty much unblemished career. I mean, he was
Right,
excellent at Chelsea, and I
right.
think he's been excellent for Real Madrid. Real Madrid wouldn't stick with someone who was a duff player. They just wouldn't do that. So yeah, I'd be thinking he's a great player. It comes back to what we said earlier that we're humans, we're not robots, and that's what makes all sports the great thing, the beautiful thing that it is. We can never really predict something because we are humans. So being human, we all make mistakes in life and in sports. So yeah, a goalkeeper will no doubt condemn themselves if they push the ball out, right to the feet of an incoming striker. But he saved the ball. These things happen, and I sometimes wonder because players get pilloried by the press, by other fans, by their own fans sometimes for a mistake, and I sometimes think I wonder how the vast majority of us will get on if we suddenly had to go in goal when some goalkeeper gets injured. If you imagine going in goal. Now, when I was younger, I'd have loved that opportunity. But actually, in the higher powered Premier League or any top league, actually facing these footballers who strike a ball incredibly hard, you're expected to be diving down at someone's feet. And we see even during the World Cup, goalkeepers laying on the ground, holding their head because they risk being kicked in the head as part of the nature of the job that they do. So the idea that a goalkeeper of all players can't is not allowed almost to make a mistake which might lead to a goal is clearly nonsense. It's going to happen, but you've got to take the percentages. It's like life. You take the percentages and say, well, for the most part, life is good, life is great. You know, there are some negatives, but as in football, for the most part, this goalkeeper is excellent, brilliant. He plays for his country. He plays for one of the top teams in
No,
the
no,
world,
it
has done
ends
for
and
some
it go
time,
because
and yet,
welcome to the second
and yet,
segment.
we got some feedback going on there, cuz.
Sorry
But
about
but
that.
but anyway, yeah. So, what do we expect from these people overall? Courtois is, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many, I'm sure, a first-class goalkeeper who's, been an asset to the cause, an asset to goalkeepers, and to the teams he plays for. So anybody who may criticise him for a mistake really should give their head a wobble, shouldn't they?
That would be me.
That was very effective. I like that. That should be your new thing. When we start, I should I should introduce, you should give your head a wobble. That's very effective. That could be the thing that defines us. We're a bit different from the rest. Good, well done. Head
Now
wobble.
going to the archive a little bit. We have Mason Greenwood,
Yeah.
Benabes, 40 million plus 2 million add-ons to Olympic Marseille. Man United get over 10 million with sell-on clause. Salary around 10 million net year on deal until June 2030 at Fenerbahce. Now, Greenwood, is he one of the lucky ones? Like, or is he just genuinely a great footballer, a good footballer, not great?
Well, both of those two things can be true at the same time. He is
Right.
one of the lucky ones to be a footballer, and maybe to have apparently escaped unscathed to a large extent, and still be a good footballer. So that there's nothing contradictory about that. But yeah, I
Mm.
probably said it. What I was going to say, that he does seem now to have emerged a bit unscathed from the scandal when his girlfriend, I believe, back in England, when he played for Manchester United, accused him of controlling and whatever else she may have accused him of. It I don't really remember, but it was enough for Manchester United to bench him, I think, at the time, and subsequently sell him, um, which arguably it may not have been fair if someone isn't charged with anything. His partner eventually withdrew her complaints. So then, in a sense, there's no case to answer unless the police decide to pursue it, which they clearly didn't. So off he went abroad, in fact, to play his football. And it was a shame because, yeah, none of us condone any kind of violence or controlling of a man to a woman or the other way around for that matter. Absolutely, it's not, it shouldn't be tolerated in any way, shape, or form. But we don't
Mm.
know about the event, so we won't discuss that side
No,
of it. But
no.
except to say, for me, he was playing for England, as far as I remember, already as a young age. And he was a brilliant footballer and a great potential as well. I mean, to me, he stood out amongst the young players at Manchester United at that time, 3 or 4 years ago, whenever, as a real star of the future. And as I say, he was in the England team as well. And in that sense, it was a shame it all came crashing down on him. And many thought at the time that would be the end of his career. Well, it seems it's not. And good luck to him. If he's now, where did you say he's coming back, going
Uh,
to?
Fene- Fenerbahce.
Fenerbahce, yeah. Yeah,
Fenerbahce.
absolutely. So he's being given his chance. And I have no doubt, all things being equal, that he will be a total asset to that
Mm.
team. He was in my opinion, an excellent footballer. He had all the makeup of the end product. And I don't know how old he is now. He's, I don't know, 24, 25, something like that. But I think he's a good prospect. And should he play for England again in the future? Well, I certainly, as I say, all things being equal, I wouldn't want to rule that out because I think
Mm.
he would be a great asset to the England team. So I
Yeah,
wish him well. I wish him and his partner well.
yeah. It's just been one of those ones that is falling and raising again, and it's just he just keeps going. No matter what
Mm.
you throw at him, it's just yeah. I have great admiration for him. Yeah. Now, this is Xabi Alonso. Now, whether there's any substance in this rumor, who knows? But uh, this is Xabi Alonso on when asked about Granit Xhaka, the Sunderland Switzerland player. He
Lekker,
said,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, he said, no comment on players who are not here with us. Now, is that was there anything about him moving to Chelsea? Because he plays at Sunderland, don't he? Are we seeing Chelsea's interest in because he's a good player. He really
Mm.
shone at the World Cup. Um, would you be disappointed to see him at Chelsea?
And of course, he was at Arsenal for quite a long time, wasn't he?
All
Um,
right.
Granit Xhaka, before he went, as you say, it's to Sunderland, is it?
Sunderland, yeah.
He was a, I mean, Granit by name, Granite by nature. He was a tough midfield player, and I remember thinking I wouldn't mind him in Palace's team because every team every team needs a granite, don't they? It's a very hard stone, whatever it is, and
Yeah.
that kind of was fed into his play. It's funny how they say we kind of become our names seem to define us very often. And I think in his case, Granit Xhaka is a real tough sounding football name, and I think he lives up to that. So, yeah, if Chelsea are showing an interest, perhaps because of a past connection with Alonso, I don't know, then
Hmm.
I think it will be a very good acquisition.
Yeah. Yeah. I quite like the player actually. I don't quite remember his days at Arsenal, but I remember him from Sunderland. Yeah, that's well. And then when I watched him in the World Cup, he
He's
was
good.
quite a formidable player.
Mm.
Right. So this is what Luis de la Fuente, the Spanish coach. This is what he said. He said, "You can't win without suffering," as Julius Caesar said. "We are ready to go to war." This was before the game. If you want to win something important, you have to sacrifice something along the way. What is he sacrificing? I don't get that. Sacrifice something along the way.
Well,
I've been
you
racking
surely
my brain.
he can't
Yeah.
mean principles. You don't sacrifice your principles of
No, you
football or
don't,
of
do
life.
you? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm not sure what he means. Well,
No, I'm not sure what.
maybe the sacrifice is. I mean, it's a well-known expression that when you play football, you really go for it. You leave everything out there, and maybe it relates to that you sacrifice some of your energy, some of your almost well-being, because you put your body on the line. You leave it all out there. Maybe that's a sacrifice. Maybe that's what he means. You've got to give everything, and of course
Mm,
these players have to do that. But
mm,
apart from that, thoughts, I'm not quite sure without the context of
mm,
what he said, what he meant.
mm. Okay. So now Louis de la Fuente. What are we thinking of him? Are we thinking he's probably got France on a bad day, or is he really a good manager? What are we thinking there?
Well, again, it's what I said just now. Those two things can both be true at the same time. I think as non-robots, I keep saying about robots, but he did
Yeah.
catch France on a bad day. The question really might be, often when a team is well beaten, they get hammered by the good old pundits again for, oh, they weren't very good. And then someone will say, well, hang on a minute, the other team were very good and they stopped the other team from playing. So you get this is why everybody has different opinions, and rightly so. But so the Spain manager, he could have been fortunate that on the day, for whatever reason, that the French players may have had a row in the dressing room. It could just have been one of those days where it didn't work. Who of us doesn't sometimes have a day? We're going about our lives, the things we do, when for some reason it just doesn't. Things you seem to trip up on things
Mm,
that's not in the right place, or you get a puncture on your tire, or you think, oh, for goodness sake, I'm going to go back to bed, sort of thing. Those days happen equally, hopefully, a majority of days where we say, yeah, life is great. This is going really well. What I'm trying to do there is good. And I think footballers are no different. It wouldn't be life if they didn't have a bad day collectively. And I think, interestingly, one French newspaper, in fact, if I can find it, gave the markings of the team last night. Now, you know what these, see if I can just find it, like the papers do. Oh, hang on, I
Yeah,
saw it there. Right,
that's all
so
right.
les notes des Bleus. This is the score of the Blues, which is what they call them. Right, I'll
Mm,
tell you what they were. It's very small writing here. Right, the goalkeeper got four, 4 points, and these are out of 10, of course. And then you have Kunde, I can't really pronounce some of their names, the right back,
mm,
5. Um, the guy next to him, Uprancano, 5. They don't mention Lacroix, the Palace player who came on when I think Sabina was injured. They don't mention his score.
mm,
Saliba, I mean.
mm,
Saliba, they've not given him a score because he went off, but they didn't give the sub a score either. Um, Dinya, who gave the penalty away when Yamal crept up on his blind side, got
mm,
2. The midfield, I can't pronounce that name. It's 3. The other midfielder, 5. Dembele, 2. He's been one of the players of the tournament, I think,
mm,
but he got 2. Elise, who again is brilliant, got 2.
mm.
Barcola, 4. And Mbappe, who criticised the manager and his teammates, got 3. So you could argue from that the Spanish manager, perhaps he got out the right side of the bed and it all fell into place for him because that team
Mm.
didn't play well. And I wouldn't even say Spain were so brilliant that they stopped them playing well. It was a game where, one was on it. Spain were at the game. They were at it, as they say,
Yeah.
and France clearly weren't. So yeah, he was fortunate, but at the end of the day, it's his team, it's his Spanish team which beat the French, and that's all that matters. He's now gone through to the final, and if they win the World Cup, boy, he's going to be a national hero in France.
Yes, yes, yeah. It was a really weird game because I was watching it and I thought, this is so easy. They're making it easy for the Spanish. And whenever the camera pans out to the France supporters, you could see the disbelief in their
Yeah.
eyes, like, wow, this is not what we came to see. This is
Mm.
not what we expected. Well, wow, look what we're getting. So yeah. Well, kudos to Spain, like you say. They did what they had to do, and they surprised France. But would you still say it's France is better than Spain?
Yeah,
Not
I
based
think
not based on the game yesterday, but just generally.
no, I
Would
think before yesterday's game, before the match last night,
yeah.
I thought France are likely to win. I think they are a better side all round.
Mm,
That said, though, I mean, Cucurella had a great game in defence, as did a number of their players. I mean, they played well as a team, better than they've been doing previously. Although obviously they've got through to that stage of the competition. So,
mm,
yeah, if we do get through tonight, we'd be foolish and we wouldn't, discount how good Spain are. I mean,
yeah.
as I say, they won it. They won the World Cup in 2010, and they've done pretty well in the Euros. They beat us, didn't they? 2 years ago, was it? So they'd be looking for a double Euros and World Cup.
Yeah.
So when I start thinking about these things, I'm thinking, well, it's all very well this intuition I've got that it's England's time, but hang on a minute, we got to beat Argentina and then we got to beat Spain. So, but that's what it's about. I happen to think our team is good enough to do that, and if it isn't always about how good we are, as we've said about France last night. If the gods are with us, if that's one way of putting it, if the stars and the moon align, everything comes together. England could well win. And I say again, can you imagine next week after Sunday when the final is, if we were to win, there will be more celebrations than we probably ever witnessed in
I
this
know.
country. It would be lifting people up, the
It
patriots of
would.
this country,
It
and
would. We
most of
really
us are patriotic. It would be fantastic. Yeah,
we really need that. We
we
really,
do.
really need
We
that.
really
We
do.
do need that. We really do. Yeah. Right.
Well, I
Okay.
mean,
So
if we were to win, cuz I might even buy you a drink. So that really is saying something, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. Right. Okay. So the next one is Aston Villa director Damien Vidagani. He say has this to say on Martinez. He says Martinez will stay with us. We have no intention of letting him go this summer. The team needs his dedication and extensive experience. It is a very important element in our project for next season. Now, Martinez. I know, I know you're not a big fan of Martinez, but I am.
Yeah.
What do you make of this statement from Aston
Well, I
Villa?
think I make of that statement quite simply that he's a very good goalkeeper.
Right.
He's a bit different. He's a bit different, isn't he? He even sort of started this idea in the Premier League that he would walk the ball to the edge of the area on one side of the area at the front, and then he'd stand there inviting, you know, the striker of the opposing team to come and get the ball. And of course, if they do that, he'll just simply pass it and it will wipe out one or two attackers. So it's quite a good ploy, and lots of other goalkeepers tried it. It's always good, I think, when any player, but particularly a goalkeeper who has that one unique position, when they do try something different, because there are different things. I mean, some, if you go back a few years, some of them would come out and they call it the keeper sweeper, the sweeper keeper. They played like an old type sweeper at the back, and they still do. They come out well into the heart that their half, well outside the penalty area, and they become available to their defence to pass to, etc., if they're passing around like the old horseshoe. So that was a bit of a new thing. And of course, the rules have changed for goalkeepers over the years. I mean, going back a few years, I don't know how many, but they couldn't just run with the ball. I mean, that's probably not that long ago. Do you remember that? Nowadays, they get the ball, and if one of their players is running up the wing, they'll run out and throw the ball. Whereas they used to have to either bounce it or put it on the ground. You couldn't just run with the ball as a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And one day their hands were freed to be completely free to be able to run, walk, whatever, but they can't hold it. They can't hold the ball for more than 8 seconds. I'm not sure how tightly that is applied, but if they do, they give away a corner. And interestingly, while I say that, the other rule that has come in apparently in the World Cup is the 5 second throw in rule, which we've talked about before. And I remember I took the view that that's going to be quite difficult because from when do they start the count? So presumably when the player picks up the ball, he's got 5 seconds. So I don't think we've seen any. Oh, perhaps I've missed them. I've not watched every game, but we haven't seen any of the really long throws from a long throw specialist into the area. And I imagine part of that must be because by the time okay, someone goes over there, picks up the ball. They then take quite a few seconds cleaning, drying the ball under their shirt or whatever, and then looking where, and getting this huge, great throw of the ball. That seems to have stopped. And maybe that was the objective.
Mm.
But what happens is when they pick up the ball, there's definitely been some longer than 5 seconds. But if you watch the ref, if it's not thrown straight away when they pick it up, he's going like this 5, 4, 3. He's doing that. So they're doing it, but they count the 5 seconds. In reality, it's probably about 12 seconds. So
Yeah.
it's not a real timed 5 seconds. But yeah, I think it may work if it stops teams doing the long throw. It will save time, more game time rather than killing it on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so going back to Martinez, I wasn't his biggest fan after the last World Cup. I thought he was a bit ungracious in some ways, but then so what? He won the World Cup with his team, and he is a good goalkeeper. And I think
Yeah.
that's where the owner, the director, person you mentioned was coming from. And if he was our goalkeeper, I'd be very pleased he was our goalkeeper in the same way I am that Jordan Henderson is our goalkeeper, because when you've got a brilliant goalkeeper.
Mm. Yeah. Now, what I was gonna say about the throw-ins, just to deviate a little bit. Yeah. What I've noticed about the throw-ins is somebody picks up the ball, pretends to throw it, drops it, another player comes around and picks
Yeah,
it up. I think that's
yeah,
how they've been able to successfully circumvent that
absolutely.
rule,
Yeah,
which
it's
is
quite
very
clever,
smart.
really.
It's very clever,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Very clever, yeah. Now, this next one is talking about it says Luka Veskovic takes first picture as new Brighton player after joining Spurs. It was always Brighton. I can't wait to start this new chapter. Now I know Brighton is your rival, close
Well,
rival.
yeah. And I live quite
Uh,
near there as well.
Now, what would prompt somebody to join Brighton from Spurs? Spurs is much more better than Brighton, right? In my opinion.
As it well, not last season they weren't, were they? You think Spurs
Oh
nearly went
yeah.
Spurs nearly went down.
All
But
right.
perhaps the answer to your question is,
Mm,
you're happy to go where you're wanted, and clearly, if Spurs didn't want him, then suddenly that's the main factor in the guy's mind. And if a team comes forward like Brighton and says, "Oh, we want you," then yeah, they're the next good thing. But all that said, Brighton are a very good football team. It doesn't pain me as a Palace fan to say that. They've had a succession of good managers. The current guy
mm,
is good. They played good football, and they qualified, I think, for the Conference League, the Europa, which is the one Palace won last time, this past season. So they're in Europe. They've got a great ground, although it's not all that easy to drive to, which may be a bit of a downside. Although that on bigger days they do open up the local university car park, so it's not all is not lost. But it's a beautiful stadium, and as we know, the Brighton women's team, the owners of Brighton, Godfrey is it? I can't think of his name now. A
mm,
very good owner of Brighton. He's now building an adjacent ground for the women's team, which is quite something, and will again continue to bring the profile of the women's game upwards. So I would never, as a player, if I were a player in the Premier League, I wouldn't be thinking, oh, Tottenham or Chelsea are much better than Brighton. Yeah, they've got longer histories, longer track records, they're bigger clubs. But actually, people can see the last few years, Brighton have been up there, generally top half of the Premier League and playing very good football. They've not always had the strikers they've wanted, but that's true of most Premier League, of many Premier League teams. But yeah, I can understand him being pleased to be going there. It's not a bad place to live in the surrounding area, Brighton. It's an interesting place.
mm,
But it's basically a good place. It's a good nightlife there for footballers, I suppose.
mm.
Yeah, I think Brighton is a pretty good place. So,
Yeah.
and the football stadium is sort of is away from the main part of Brighton in a very nice part of the world. So I think, yeah, most people will be quite envious to be paid what he's obviously going to be paid playing football for a living in a place like Brighton. I think he's ticking a hell of a lot of boxes there.
It is, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Now, Didier Deschamps,
Yeah.
the France manager, this is what he has to say about the officiating of the game yesterday. He says, I will ask a question. Does the referee possess the required level to manage a World Cup semi-final? Now, there's two questions. There's two questions. He's asked an open question. Now, there's two questions in that question. Does a referee need to have a certain level to referee, for instance, the lower stages of a big competition and the final stages of a big competition? Is there a criteria for referees, you know?
No, not in a competition, in a tournament. The only criterion is that you obviously cannot referee a game, obviously not of your own country, but also of maybe an associated country. For example, I don't think, say, a Scottish referee or a Welsh referee would be allowed to referee an England game, and vice versa. Quite clearly, as I speak, in the case of a Scottish referee, so my point was they might favour the England team, but I think we know the opposite is what would happen. But no, you clearly, I mean, on one game, and I can't remember the game, but it was, I think it was was it an Argentina game? No, it wasn't. I think it was either Mexico or maybe Colombia, South American team. And one of the games featuring a South American team, all the officials, including the VAR officials, were Argentinians. Now, manifestly, that's not what FIFA would say is the way to do it. So I'm not saying anything happened as a result of that, but you could understand the opponents of Colombia, and I forget what the match was, would be a bit miffed. Say, well, hang on a minute, South America, South American. Maybe they argue, well, it's a different country within South America. I don't know, but yeah, but certainly from day one of the World Cup to the final, a referee is qualified. I mean, the people, our two are Michael Oliver and Anthony Taylor, um, who I think have both done a good job. I'm sure they have, and good for them to represent the Premier League in that way. But yeah, and really, what Didier Deschamps said was another way of criticising the ref and the officials without actually criticising the ref and the officials. He's asked a question, which is what managers do, because they know if they say that man's not fit to referee, they're going to be fined a few €1,000 or whatever out of their massive salaries, and they don't want that quite clearly. And I think Deschamps was leaving after last night or after the final if they got there anyway. But what was a bit surprising and disappointing was that Mbappe chose to have a public go at his manager as well as the teammates. I think to have a go at the manager, who's done a good job, I think, for some years, was a bit ill advised on Mbappe to do that. People won't think too highly of him for that, I think.
Mm. Yeah. I don't like when that happens. Well, these players, they have so much money and so much influence. They just
Mm.
think they're above everything else, above all the rules. But it's not like that in football. You have to be respectful, be humble.
Yeah,
As
be
they
humble.
say in football, as they say in
That's the
football.
big word, isn't it? Be humble.
Yeah, be humble, yeah.
Be
I
humble.
have to be
Yeah.
humble. Yeah. Now, what do you think of Jed Spence?
Well, when he was selected in the England team, a lot of England fans, well, some, I say a lot, I don't really know that, but there was criticism. Oh, he's not good enough for England and all this. And I remember thinking, well, yeah, Tottenham had a pretty poor season because
Mm.
he plays for them, of course, and one or two players were not included, like your friend Palmer and my friend Walton. So we're thinking, is Jed Spence? I know it's a different position to our players there, but um, is he really good enough? Now, then I thought, well, when I saw Tottenham come to Palace last season, I remember it quite clearly. The Tottenham were in their yellow away kit, and Jed Spence was forever coming up and down. I mean, I have quite in row five, very good seat near the pitch, and so he was hammering up and down the wing when Tottenham were attacking. I have an idea that was they won that game. I think they beat us 1-0 early December, last, last December. Yeah, would have been. And they then went on a losing run until late March or April. So I specifically remember that. But anyway, in that game, Jed Spence, I thought he was good. He had speed. He was playing at the back, a back. He had speed linking with his wingman. And I thought, yeah, this guy is good. I'm surprised. And my thinking was, I'm surprised he's not been recognised, internationally or whatever. So when he was, I thought, well, I'm not sure why people are clamouring to criticise him. That's how it felt, because I thought he was good. Well, I mean, he came on a couple of times in the group stages, and he did okay. He didn't really, shine or anything like that, but he did okay because he still had this. He had a broken jaw, I think, didn't he, or something like that? Broken cheekbone, I don't know, but he
Yeah,
still
yeah. So
wears
he
this.
wears a break. Yeah,
Yeah, the brace.
yeah.
And anyway, he came on, didn't he, against Norway? And I think he changed the game because England didn't play overly well in that game. Good enough to win, I think. But Jed Spence was excellent. And I would have given him like 8 out of 10 in his performance, better than
Mm,
some of the players, because in that game, we've not really talked about that game, but it's like we started slow, obviously conserving energy, which you understand. It's fair enough. It was 34 degrees, which is what we've been having here and more. So it
mm.
was hot. They're bound to conserve a bit of energy, take it slow. But it's like they forgot that at some stage they got to pick the pace up. And of course, after the first drinks hydration thing in the first half, Norway did pick up the pace a bit. They did, and it kind of knocked us into a bit of action. But yeah, it wasn't the greatest performance. As I say, until in my opinion, until in the second half when Jed Spence came on, he had so much energy, and at one point he ran at the goalkeeper, um, and he managed to stop the ball being kicked. And
Oh
unfortunately,
yeah, I
it
remember
missed the
that.
goal.
Yeah,
And
it's
that,
to go.
again,
Yeah.
that seemed to energise the other players who'd just been almost strolling around as if it was. Again, it's the non-robot thing. We think England, running, doing well, and we could argue Bellingham. I think Bellingham played well. He got both the goals. For once, I didn't think Harry Kane was his usual colossus.
Mm,
Um, but then he's our talisman, and he's entitled, if anybody is, to the occasional not great game. I mean, he's brilliant every game he plays. So
mm,
I thought, yeah, he's not quite Harry, he's perhaps not quite himself. But then you never know if they've got stomach bugs. I mean, I read that Erling Haaland, or Blout Haaland, which is what he's got on the back of his shirt, which I think is his middle name, isn't it? Blout.
mm, mm,
But he had a stomach bug during that game, so that may explain why he wasn't fully up to it. But no, Jed Spence came on and changed the energy in the team,
mm,
and one or two others who came on. So I think he's a good player, and
mm.
I would imagine that De Zerbi will want to keep him, and I think you'll probably see a much better Tottenham team this year, which will include Jed Spence. Good luck to him, and I hope he has a part in the game tonight. If we need to bring somebody on at some stage.
Mm. Well, that's if they don't pinch him. Because the
Mm,
vultures around just looking, they might one of
yeah,
these big clubs offer some big money, he'll obviously go. But just touching on that game again, because you mentioned something about stomach bug with Erling Haaland, we call him Brat
yeah.
Haaland, the World Cup, don't we? Now, Declan Rice wasn't very well as well, according to
No,
what
he
I read.
wasn't.
Or yeah, I think he had this similar thing to what Haaland had, and I think that actually we felt his absence. He was there. He started, but he wasn't working to his full potential. And I saw that. So when he was substituted, I knew that's what was going on. So we hope and pray he's back to his normal self because we know when Declan Rice plays, especially with his passes and when
Mm.
he takes corner kicks and when he takes free kicks, the guy's very good. He's really good. So I just pray that he's back to form really. Now
Yeah,
another
I mean, I
player,
gather. Sorry, just to say, I gather he is starting tonight, and
yeah.
you're absolutely right, if I may say. I agree with you that at the beginning of that game, it was quite obvious early on that Rice he wasn't well in some way, or he had an
uh,
injury or something, because it just wasn't the Declan Rice, and I think that contributed to a lot of our lackadaisical play in that first half. And
mm,
clearly, he had to go off. He wasn't well, but by all accounts, he is feeling better, whatever it was. And let's hope. Well, he is going to start, I gather. So let's hope he's back to his old form because he makes
uh,
such a difference.
it makes such a difference. I would love. Uh, I mean, if Declan Rice comes back today and he's back to, 100% fitness,
Mm,
I think that's going to make a whole lot of difference because
yeah.
the midfield, he holds that midfield. It's like his
Mm,
home. He knows what to do there. He knows. the players know what's expected of them
Yeah,
when he
yeah.
has the ball, and he knows what, he knows who's going to make what run and where they're going to go. So I really pray that, he's back to 100%. So
Mm.
we can dominate that midfield. And I mean, from what we know of Argentina when they played Egypt. I didn't watch. I think I did. I watch the last match. I don't think I watched the last match because it was on at 1 a.m. But certainly when they played Egypt, they weren't very good. They
No.
weren't very good when they played Egypt because they let in 2 goals, and it was just by some sort of intervention that they
Mm.
managed to go along. Right. Okay. So we've got 1 minute to go. Crystal Palace. What's happening?
Well, as I said earlier, I think the pre-season training has started. We've signed a couple of players. Some I think are in the throes of being signed, but I believe we have signed a centre back because it looks like we're losing Maxence Lacroix to Chelsea.
Mm,
As I say, he came on last night for France. Good player. And really, we haven't had too much activity as far as I understand it, at Palace. But I think now the World Cup is coming to an end. I hope there will be a couple more players coming in, particularly if we lose some, possibly to Nottingham Forest. You never know with Glasner there, or other players like Lacroix going elsewhere. So that could always happen. But of course, the window I think is open until the end of August. I mean, some say it should close before the season starts, and there's some merit in that I think because teams should then be the teams that they're going to be playing as the season goes on. But anyway, it's open to I think the end of August, beginning of September. So hopefully Palace will buy, or take on loan couple of players because I think we're going to need them. I expect Mateta may go, so he would need replacing, but we'll see. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
And that's just one person that I didn't see play for France. Did you see
He
him
came,
play
he
for?
came on in the
Oh, did you? All
quarter-final.
right.
Yeah, he
All
did.
right.
He
Yeah.
he came
All
on
right.
against Morocco. He came on. Yeah.
All right. All right. Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. So this is all we've got time for. Do you want to do the conclusion for us, please, bruv?
Yeah, well, we finish our post podcast today, and we're wishing our England team the very best of luck tonight. I'm sure many of us will be, most of us, I guess, will be watching it and cheering our team on. Let's hope they win and get to the final. Anyway, I'm Trevor Gear, and he calls me Bruv.
And I'm Emmy Hickins, and he calls me Cuz. And it's before I say it's a goodbye from me, I want to say it's coming home. It's coming home.
Absolutely. We hope.
It's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me too. Just a quick
Phew.
one. Are you okay for Alien Spaceship to do a few questions next week, as we
Yeah.
agreed last week? Is that all right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I'll prepare a few questions. Yeah,
Brilliant.
I'll do
And I'll
I'll do
carry on.
that
I'll
for
do
that.
the next week after that, and we
Yeah,
carry on like that, if that's all right.
yeah. That's fine. Thank you very much for that.
They've both gone well today, I think. Both
They
gone very
have
well.
they have gone really well. Yeah.
Yeah. And let's hope we win
I
tonight, cuz.
I
Let's
I
hope
just
we
pray.
win.
I just pray we win tonight. I just pray we
I'll be
win tonight.
ecstatic. We'll all be ecstatic if we beat
I
the
know.
Argentinians.
I
We
know.
really
I
will.
know.
I
Well,
might
I
I might even need to text you if we win, and pure joy, elation.